Welcome in, everyone. I wish we were speaking under much better circumstances. Unfortunately, we are going to be talking today about the tragedy, the horror that unfolded in New Orleans on the early morning or in the early morning hours of January 1st, 2025, the start of the new year, when people should have been having fun and they should have been out there with friends and family. Instead, there was a horrific attack. We're going to get into all that and what the government is doing. We're going to address some rumors that are flying around. Before we do that, please, as always, like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment with your thoughts. It really helps everything grow, helps us share the stories, and I'm going to keep that limited due to the severity of the topic we're talking about today. In the early morning hours of Wednesday, so the early morning hours, about 3 a.m. local time, a man, I'm going to read his name here right in front of me. If I pronounce this incorrectly, it's not on purpose. My sincerest attempt here is Shamsuddin Jabbar, a 42-year-old former member of the Army who was from Texas. There's videos of this guy. Apparently, he dabbled in real estate. There's a lot of reporting now. The FBI was at his house in Texas. He drove a truck through a party area, the French Quarter in New Orleans, killing 15 people, wounding dozens more. Initially, they said there was 10. Then they said there was 15. Hopefully, that death toll does not grow anymore. He had the flag of a known designated, I can't even say the words here because YouTube will possibly take the video down. That's just the way it is. Of the organization, the U.S. spent a long time fighting in Iraq and Syria. You would recognize them from the black flag, which is what he had on the back of a allegedly rented pickup truck, and he drove that pickup truck once the barricades came down. He reportedly swerved around a couple police officers, was able to carry out the ramming part of the attack. At that point, exited the vehicle and engaged in a shootout with multiple police officers. I believe 2 of those police officers were wounded, and then he was ultimately neutralized, taken out, killed, whatever you want to call it. And there's so much to break down here. At the same time that happens, there's a Cybertruck explosion that happens in Las Vegas outside Trump's hotel that is also being investigated, rightfully so, as an act of terror. It is unknown at this time whether or not the two are connected. Obviously, that's also being looked into. The situation was so serious that the Sugar Bowl between Notre Dame and Georgia, which was scheduled for Wednesday night primetime, marquee game, ends up getting delayed to Thursday afternoon because they were unsure of the security situation on the ground in New Orleans. There was also reports that there were 4 to 5 other people possibly involved. Then the FBI came out and said, no, we don't actually know that those people are involved. And then a really interesting report came out, and this is what we're going to get into now. A really interesting report came out from Tom Rogan over at the Washington Examiner that FBI HRT, which is the civilian Tier 1 law enforcement asset, they are very similar to Delta. They're very similar to SEAL Team 6 in the gear they use, the tactics they use. It's FBI hostage rescue team. All of that stuff is modeled off the military side. It was created in 1983 to do hostage rescue missions, to hunt fugitives, to be brought in. It is a break glass in the event of emergency type situation. One of the most famous events that they ever were involved with was obviously the 2013 Boston Marathon attack, which killed, 4 people, I believe. They were brought in to catch the 2 scumbags responsible for that. I reached out to a SEAL Team 6 source of mine to get a read on his thoughts of HRT, and he had some good insight. He said that they're great operators. They have amazing training facilities. They do CQB really well. The only real difference is they obviously have very different rules of engagement because they're not in a war zone. They're in a civilian situation, hunting criminals, hunting cells of bad guys, if you will. There's a word I would use more often, but again, I don't want YouTube to take this down because I want us to be able to talk about this. So HRT is based out of Quantico, Virginia. Tom Rogan reported that there was a government plane, I believe with the call sign HRT uses to travel, that took off at some point Wednesday afternoon, early evening, right about then, bound for New Orleans. It is believed that that plane is carrying an HRT team. How many guys? I have no idea. I believe Tom Rogan also reported that there is an IED team likely on that plane, a counter IED team to defuse any bombs they might come across, and that obviously HRT is there. So what might HRT do in a situation like New Orleans? Well, the first thing is if they feel that there's more bad guys out there and they know where they are, they can get to them. You're not going to send local police officers. You're not going to send even your local SWAT team. You're going to send FBI HRT. This is what they do. This is what they train at all day. CQB, breaching, getting into, fights in close quarters, right on top of the enemy. Again, just like you would see Delta or SEAL Team 6 do, that's exactly what HRT does. It's the exact same thing, but in a civilian setting. They're not the military. Are there members of it who are former military? Absolutely. But they are the civilian tier 1 element. That means the government can call upon them to act domestically. And yes, HRT does go overseas at times, attached to other elements like Delta, like SEAL Team 6. I believe there's even been HRT guys that have attached to the Army Rangers, and they serve a critical role. They are very good at what they do. Thoughts on the FBI side, thoughts on all that. When we're talking about the operator, when we're talking about operators in HRT, they are the best non-military operators in the United States, period. And so the fact they're being sent to New Orleans, and I'm not going to read into anything past that, but the fact they're being sent to New Orleans tells me the government is treating this situation incredibly seriously. You wouldn't be sending HRT to New Orleans just for the hell of it, just to poke around a little bit. Now, does that mean there could be other people out there? Does that mean that they could have intelligence they're not sharing with the public? It's very possible. I don't know. I don't want to speculate. I will tell you, Senator Kennedy said in an interview that he couldn't guarantee, he essentially implied he couldn't guarantee the safety of any other cities, and he knew stuff he couldn't talk about. Again, read into that as much as you want. I'm not here to tell you anything about that. Here's the other rumor I want to address. There's been rumors flying around that the military, Delta Force, SEAL Team 6, is somehow secretly on the ground in New Orleans. I think a lot of this stems from the governor of New Orleans said he was activating a military police unit to assist with the investigation, assist with the situation. And that's not really all that crazy. It's a National Guard unit. They're not calling up people at Fort Bragg. The governors of states have the authority to authorize National Guard units to do stuff like this. That's not the same thing as Delta coming in, getting on planes and helicopters and kicking in doors. Is there a situation are there situations where Delta acts domestically? Absolutely. Are we going to discuss that today? No, we're not. As far as I know, SEAL Team 6 does not act domestically. If they do, I don't know anything about it. I've never been told about it. Delta does, but you're not going to bring Delta in for a situation like this when FBI HRT literally exists for this sole reason, right? This is why FBI HRT exists, to be the civilian tip of the spear like you would need Delta or SEAL Team 6 in an active, ongoing war zone. So I don't think you're going to see that at all. I think that's people popping off online. I think that's people who've watched one too many action movies. What would it take for Delta to end up going in? It would take a game changer unlike anything we've seen unfolding on the ground, where they're essentially doing rolling hits. They're rolling and hitting targets, rolling and hitting targets, rolling and hitting targets. Anything short of that, you're not seeing Delta come in. You're just not, because why would you have HRT there, right? This is an internet rumor. It's important we keep the facts straight. If they are there, they've done an incredible job of concealing it, because I was never told. Not that I would be told. I probably wouldn't be told. But I would be able to get that information eventually, and no one said anything to me or no one knew anything about it. FBI HRT has this in control. They're more than capable of hitting any targets that need to be hit. They're the best shooters, not non-military shooters in the country. So just be careful what you read online. Be careful what you see online. It's not all true. A lot of it can be fake. And at the end of the day, pray for the families of those who are gone. Pray for the families who are wounded. Hope justice has been brought for all the people responsible. And in conclusion, FBI HRT, they're great dudes. They're going to take care of this. I promise you that. There's no proof or evidence whatsoever that Delta Force or SEAL Team 6 there. Use a little caution when believing things online, and I'll leave it at that. And again, please please subscribe, please comment with your thoughts about what happened in New Orleans. And it's a great tragedy. It's a horrific event, but we will come back stronger. The United States will never bow, and we will hold those responsible We will absolutely find them. We will catch them. And if there's anyone else out there, they will be held accountable for their actions. I'll see you all next time.